I was born in a small town called Sindri in Bihar. We grew up around India. We Calcutta, Delhi, Mumbai, went to school in all these places, went to college in Delhi, and then left India in 1971 to do my accountancy in London. I was away about 25 years and then came back to India in about 1994, 95.
And if I can ask you, during your childhood years, did you know you'd be in a position such as this in Genpact?
No idea whatsoever. Neither I nor anybody who knew me would have imagined for a moment that I would get here. Most people who know me from those days are still express surprise that I am doing what I am doing. So it's always fun to meet them because they're always looking at me and saying, we would have never imagined that you would be here. So.
So what is it that happened during those childhood years that you think helped get you here? What are the qualities either you learned or absorbed, or through your parents or family or friends, that helped you in a position of responsibility such as today?
I think you learn from many people and from lots of circumstances. So clearly there were things we learned from our immediate family, from our parents about how do you live with what values, with what fairness, with what noble ideas. I think my father was a very noble person, very big ideals. I think we learned from him. We learned from the close enclosure of our family, in my mother's family and my father's family, who were always around us. So we learned how to deal with disparate types of people, because our families come from wealthy and not so wealthy backgrounds, and you mix with all of them. I think we learned a lot from the circumstances under which you are brought up. So my father was very clear. We worked in all sorts of environments, even though we were very well off by local standards. We interacted with all sorts of people, again, despite the fact that we were doing very well. There was a sense of fairness and lack of discrimination that has stayed with me all my life. Sense of justice was very important, of being right and doing the right thing for the world. And I think, certainly of hard work. I will tell you, when I was, I certainly didn't work very hard till I was in the mid-30s, I don't think. So I didn't know what it meant. But I think you learn from role models. There are very few role models. But you learn by watching what other people do, in the simplicity of their ideas, in the simplicity of their thinking. You learn from, again, people like my father, who don't get distracted by petty issues in life and don't allow that to affect their mental attitude, and they stay focused on the bigger issues of life and how to get beyond daily issues that can thwart you. You get inspired. Certainly I was very inspired by people I worked with, who demonstrated to me that through the quality of leadership, the quality of being able to share a vision, the quality of building that leadership potential in themselves, they were able to inspire others. I don't think you know that you have that most of the time. You discover it as you go forward, that this is something you enjoy and you are natural, and it comes naturally to you. I think the ability to think beyond your own small boundaries is a very important element also, of being able to look at what other people are doing and say, I can do it. I think I learned from, tenets of Jack Welch and GE, for instance. Speed, simplicity, self-confidence. So you learn the benefits of self-confidence, of recognizing that you must have mottos, and the motto I have always had in my life is, no one is better than me and no one is worse than me. I am better than anyone else on earth at something. And someone else is better than me. Anyone else on earth is better than me at something else. And that equation gives you the confidence to go out and not be abashed or inhibited by things you don't know or things you feel you can't achieve.
So if you think back on the time when you made the transition to, I'm sure you're living a good life, and
yes.
You said it in middle 30s you decided to put the accelerators on.
Yes.
What was the reason, and what did it feel like to, all of a sudden push up the gears?
Yes. I think I was very lucky, because I had a few bosses who kind of recognized the potential I had and said, we'll promote you. And I think that catapulted me, because till then, frankly, I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I had it in me. So you need quite often somebody who can look at you, and I would love to do this with young people all over the world, and I hope we've done it with hundreds of people at Genpact, that we look at someone and say, you're really terrific. You have energy, you have confidence, you're ready to buck the trend, you speak up, you have the right values, you're honest, you're strong, you are willing, you're hungry to learn. And then they helped me and they plucked me out and said, you're terrific. So my boss in RCA, I joined RCA. My boss in Bahrain, I worked for a company called Arthur Andersen at that time and converted to Tusha. They were very complimentary of our abilities. So suddenly you started thinking, if they are that complimentary, maybe I'm worth a lot more than I have been up to now. Okay. And then I think as you go forward, others give you an opportunity. And when you see that opportunity, I think that's always a defining period for most people. Do you grab it or do you get subdued by it? Mm-hmm. And I think we grabbed it.
So if I can reflect back on
Please.
what I just heard, someone else validated what you already were. It's not because you were transformed because of it. You just decided to believe it and decided to go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. You believed in yourself more, and therefore it propelled you forward, to your point. A lot of the qualities that you had, you earned when you were brought up. Mm-hmm. So the qualities of getting along with people, of being flexible, about being adaptable, about the desire to learn, curiosity. These are, I'm saying, I'm using a lot of adjectives here, but in various shapes or form, 3 or 4 of them are very important to all of us, and we've got to pick which ones we're going to be really good at. And that can help you propel you forward.
And the final question in this area, if you look at Genpact today and the number of employees you have, and the people around in India today that don't necessarily have the role models such as you are and your executive team,
yes,
how do they get one?
Yes, I think I would urge people to read, to think about examples of people who have done well, to look around them and see someone who perhaps is successful. Not successful because they've chosen to be corrupt and heavy-handed. It's not about power at all. But people who have done a lot of good, I think there are enough role models and examples that we can look for, of people who have shed their own circumstances and who have moved past them. And there are hundreds of people like that where we can find in all spheres of life. One of the things I loved about this was in America. You always met people who were CEOs who came from very modest backgrounds. That to me was always inspirational. I think we have examples like that here. It is too often cut off by corruption and noise of corruption, but the fact is, even people like Mr. Advani and many others have risen from nowhere. Sure. Nitish Kumar, they have fought very hard to get to where they are, and their journeys are tremendously exciting and challenging. And I think it's worth reflecting on them and thinking about how they got there.
Okay. Should we make this a last question, or can you handle one more?
I can handle one.
Okay, so I would like to switch topics then. If you look at the industry that you're in, it is a very, very much a favorite of India. It is a reflection of its magnanimity in how we are affecting the entire country. But if you look at the inside of the industry today, there is a conventional wisdom that says the Twitch players, Tech Mahindra, Wipro, Infosys, they're above a certain class of revenues, therefore they will get the large contracts.
Yes.
And this will become like every other business where the strong get stronger and the weak die out.
Yes.
Please tell me why that is not correct.
I think it's never correct. If that was the case, then small to medium scale enterprises wouldn't drive the economic growth of countries like Germany and America, and they will drive the economic growth, frankly, of countries like India. We're in a very different business. We're in business process management. They're in the IT sector. We occupy a unique space. So we're kind of the leaders in our pack, and they are the leaders in there. But I think, if that was true, Google, Yahoo, 1,000 companies wouldn't exist. And I think it's a natural piece of evolution. The joy of being a small to medium-sized company, which is what, we're a medium-sized company, we're over 45,000 employees, so we're also a large company in many respects, is flexibility, new ideas, new abilities to execute, versus some of the bigger companies which get ponderous and slow and bureaucratic. And unfortunately, or fortunately for the younger guys, very often the older guys don't realize that till it's too late. So I think there's puts and takes to both. If the other element is, of course, that the bigger guys buy the smaller guys, and that's just part of capitalism.
If you look at the entire BP and business process management arena, there have been some foundation texts on it from MIT and others a long time ago. And I'm wondering, if I wanted to learn more about this, if I was a member of the youth population today,
right?
How would I learn about your industry so I can participate in some way?
Yes, I think there are many forums that you can attend. Certainly what NASSCOM and other forums here do is very interesting because they provide a lot of information and a lot of seminars and conferences that people can attend at a very low cost. I think you can also go out on the internet. You can think about, today the amount of information available on the internet, if you really want to go, is so awesome. And if you talk about business process management and how companies work, I think there's a wealth of information that you can look at. I think you can also look at how companies work. What we do is we run processes that run companies. That's something which is fundamental to all companies. So understanding how business works, how companies work, is a natural insight into what we do for a living. It's a fascinating industry because it's relatively new, growing fast, and evolving quickly, and therefore it makes for very exciting times.